have I got a practice for you guys today. We are going to be working on neck, shoulder, upper chest, and upper back release today. So we're going to actually focus a lot on the neck release because, quite frankly, when your chest and your shoulders and your back are tight, a lot of it is coming from the upper body and a lot of it actually comes from the neck. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So you'll definitely need some kind of strap or a scarf or something that you can use to mimic a strap. Even a belt or a bathrobe tie works beautifully. Doesn't have to be anything, fancy. And you'll definitely need 2 blocks. Okay. If you feel like you're going to need a lot of support, because we're going to be doing some sitting for a bit of time as well. If you feel like you need more support underneath you, feel free to grab some cushions or blanket or towels, anything that you can kind of roll up so that you can actually sit up on something comfortably. Okay. I'm excited for this practice, actually. So just as an FYI, it's allergy season. And a lot of the times the chest and the neck actually get really stiff and the upper back gets really stiff too because of allergies, seasonal allergies. So we're going to also just, work at, if you've got any of that stuff happening, that's going to help just kind of clear some of that stuff up. Okay. All right. So we are actually going to begin with a neck release on the back. So you're going to grab 1 block. You can put everything else kind of off to the side. You're going to take your block on the 2nd level. And you're going to place it towards the top of your mat. And then you're going to come down to lay on it. And when you lay down onto the block, on the edge of the block, I want you to feel for where the occiput and the cervical spine meet. So if you kind of just dig your fingers in, you'll feel those 2 kind of little bony protrusions. When you lay down onto your block, that's where you want the block to rest. So a little bit of the back of my head is resting on the top of the block. My neck is actually completely free. So I can just, wedge my hands in between there to make sure that my neck is free. And then if you come down right here and right away you feel like, oh no, well, that's just way already too tight, flip your block onto the lower level instead, okay? You're not looking for any kind of sensation that feels like pinching or compressing or, nerve sort of like tingling, numbing sensation. Not looking for that at all. Okay. So once you've got your head onto the block, just see if you can draw your chin slightly down towards your chest a little bit. And then walk your shoulder blades until you feel like your upper back is a little bit flatter. Okay. There'll be that natural little space between the shoulder blades that'll be a little bit lifted, but see if you can kind of just walk your shoulders out towards the edges of your mat. I'm going to recommend that you keep your knees bent to start with and either rest your hands onto your belly with your palms down so that your shoulders are in the right rotational position, or you can bring your hands down to either side of your hips. Again, palms face down. And then close your eyes. Let's take a couple of moments just to arrive here. So think of this as your stepping away point from the first part of your morning. It's your step away from whatever has got left to come today. Unhinge your bottom jaw. So just see if you can actually separate the upper and lower molars inside your mouth. Maybe even wiggle your bottom jawline a little bit from side to side. Let your tongue relax down towards the bottom of your mouth. And then see if you can start to soften into a nice long deep breath here. So often, and it can often be unconscious, we're not even realizing it, but we we tend to hold our head up. So in this shape here, see if you can just let the back of your head be really heavy. Just let it rest onto the block. This block is completely supporting your entire spine. So there's no reason to hold any of the muscles, especially in through the back of the neck, and especially through the face and the sides of your jawline. Just a nice, slow, even pace. Breath in, breath out. Soft eyes. And you should begin to feel, just imagine an elastic band, and you've got that elastic band on between your thumbs, and you're kind of just starting to stretch it out a little bit. That's what this sensation should feel like here. If your neck is really tight, then of course that sensation might feel a little bit stronger, but it's a feeling of like you're lengthening out. Like if I do a neck release when I do treatments on my clients, and if I were to cup my hands on the back of your head and just kind of lift your skull away from your shoulders, it's that lengthening feeling. That's what you're looking for in this shape. And again, at any time, if it starts to feel like it's too much, lower the block to that bottom level. See if you can let your shoulders soften and be a little bit heavier. Arms completely relaxed, even if they're resting, even if your hands are resting on your belly. Let's see if you can just let your body be really heavy here. And continue to work, just breathing in and out through the nose. So we're going to be here for just a little bit more time. In just a few breaths, we're going to start to make some gentle movement with our head on the block. Couple more deep breaths in and out through your nose. Now from here, you can choose to keep the block on the same level, or if you would prefer to lower it down to the bottom level. But you're going to start to move your head from left to right. Don't worry if your ear does not drop down fully to each side. That's okay. Just move at your own pace, nice and gentle. So you're basically massaging out. I mean, there's so many acupressure points in the back of the neck where this block is resting. So as you're massaging through here by moving side to side, you're breaking up a lot of the lactic acid that creates the tension in the neck. And that creates those little, you might even feel like little crunchy kind of bits as you're moving your head from side to side. That's the breakup of the lactic acid in the muscles. And so when we break that out, we flush it out. And then of course we're releasing tension. Now, if you find one spot as you're kind of rolling from side to side and you're you're thinking, wow, like that really feels tight, that one spot, feel free to kind of pause there for a moment and maybe just make the tiniest little movement with your chin so that you can kind of break up what it is basically is the knot, right? The knot in the muscle. And you just want to go really slow and gentle and easy. You're not trying to dig your head into the block. And then just notice if when you're moving your head, are you clenching inside your mouth? Because sometimes there's that little, again, unconditional hold. We don't even realize it unless we're actually really paying attention to how it's feeling when we move. And only go to a range of motion that feels really comfortable for your neck. If you feel anything that is sharp or shooting or electrical or numbing, stop right away. Just take the block out and just put your head right down onto the mat. I'm going to do a couple more rounds, just moving the head from side to side. Even if you did just this one movement every day for like 5 minutes, you would be surprised and amazed just how much tension you can release, but also just how much tension we actually hold. Next time that your head comes back to center, you're going to pause there again and just see if the chin will allow itself to drop a little closer towards the chest. You're not lifting the chest up to meet the chin, but just see if the chin will just gradually soften down a little bit more. Take a couple of really deep breaths and just notice how the back of your neck feels. For example, it might feel like that elastic band sort of sensation has lessened a little bit. Your head actually might feel a little heavier on that block just because you're releasing that tension, that hold. They say that the average head weighs anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds. So you can imagine just how much muscular tension we can accumulate in the neck just from holding the head. From here, take your left hand and cup the back of your neck. So this way your neck is supported. And just allow your head to still stay very heavy. You're going to take your right hand and take the block out and lower your head down to the floor. Once your head is on the floor, then you can remove your left hand. And then just let the head settle back in a neutral position. Take a nice, long, deep breath in and out through your nose. And now reach your right arm up above your head. With your knees still bent, you're going to roll over onto your right side. Let your head land onto your bottom arm here. Your left hand is resting in front of your chest, palm faces down. Keep your chin drawn towards your chest. You're going to press heavy into your left hand and roll yourself up. Keep your chin drawn down to your chest until you are all the way upright, and then you can lift your head up last. Once you come up, you're going to make your way into any comfortable seated position that you like. So I'm going to sit Seiza style with a block between my knees. You can also sit cross-legged, but I definitely recommend that you sit up on something. So whether that's cushion, a block, whatever it is, this is going to help keep your spine in a nice neutral position, but also allowing the effort from the neck to release. Okay, so we're going to go a little deeper into the neck. Really want you to pay attention to when we move through the sides of the neck. If there's any kind of numbing or tingling sensation, you want to back out of that. Okay. So from here, you're going to take your left hand, externally rotate it so that your palm is facing out behind you. And you're going to place your forearm onto your low back. And your palm should be facing out behind you. So it's the back of your hand that's resting on the low back. Now, for some people, like for me, I can wrap my hand all the way around to my right hip. But for some people, that's not accessible. So you can place your hand like right at the sacrum, so right in the middle. If that is already like, wow, that's like really tight on especially on your chest, like your pec muscles through the left side, even through the tricep and the bicep, if that's too intense, I want you to take a block instead. Bring the block on the second level, just a few inches away from your hip, and bring your hand onto it. Okay, so then it's a little less sensation. Okay. And then from here, your right hand just relaxes onto your lap. You're going to slowly tilt right ear towards right shoulder. You're only going to go as far as it feels comfortable in your neck. So of course, you're going to start to feel like a stretch through the left side of the neck. You can also kind of just play a little bit with moving your chin up and down until you find kind of that right spot. Like everybody holds tension in the neck in different places. So for some people, they need to drop their chin right down. Other people, the chin needs to be up higher. Just explore here by moving a little bit the chin until you find a spot where you're like, yeah, okay, I can feel that. And then see if you can pause there. Now, if your left hand is on the block, that's okay too. You can get plenty of sensation in this variation without overstraining things. You can also experiment a little bit with walking your left hand out or bringing it in a little bit closer. It just depends on, how much sensation you're feeling through the neck here. Make sure there's lots of space between upper and lower molars. Your shoulders are drawn away from the ear, so nothing is being pulled up here, but the spine is long, straight. If you feel like you're having a hard time keeping your spine straight, draw your navel towards your spine a little bit, just to engage the core to keep your back nice and straight. And of course, you're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose. Please back out at any time if you find like things are just too much. Now these last few breaths, if you feel like you want to go a little deeper, you're going to bring your right hand, bring it up and over your head so that your palm rests just on the top of that left ear. And you're just cradling the head. It's not like you're trying to use your hand to push your head down. It's actually just kind of like a bit of a softening reminder here. Now, if that, of course, just creates too much intensity of sensation, let it go. Last couple of deep breaths. See if you can breathe right up into the left side of your neck, your collarbone, your chest, even down through that left arm. If you have your right hand onto the side of your head, you're going to release that arm down. If your left hand is back behind you, slowly just let that go and bring the hand onto the lap. So now both shoulders are nice and relaxed and soft. You're going to bring your right hand underneath your chin and just encourage your hand to be used as a lever to lift your head back up to neutral. So you're not using any of the muscles in your neck. You are simply using your hand. Once your head is back straight in alignment with your spine, just relax both arms down. Take a nice long deep breath. So your neck might feel a little, I'm going to use the word awkward here right now. So for me, I feel very lengthened through my left side of the neck, but the right side of my neck kind of feels compressed. And we'll even that out when we go to the other side. Okay. If you know you're going to work with the block, you're going to take that block over to the right side of your right hip, just a few inches away. And your hand is going to rest there. Or optionally, you're going to take that right hand, externally rotate it back behind you, place the forearm onto the low back, and feel free to kind of just move that forearm around until you find that right spot to land, where you're already feeling some sensation through the right side of the chest, even the neck, even down through the arm. Okay. Left hand is completely relaxed onto the lap so that that shoulder is supported here. And you're going to slowly draw left ear to left shoulder. Jaw stays soft. Tongue is relaxed. If your hand is on that block on that right side, feel free to kind of experiment just how far out or how close in you need to have that for support. And then move the chin around a little bit until you find your spot. It's likely not going to feel the same as on the left side, so don't look for a similarity. You'll know when you land on that spot because it'll just feel a lot tighter than anywhere else that you move your neck. So for me, on my right side, it's actually closer towards my collarbone where I feel the tension. Whereas on the left, it's actually up a lot higher towards my ear. You see, nothing is symmetrical in the body. You really want to take nice, slow, long, deep breaths. And you're only moving that head down enough so that you feel like the muscles are relaxing. There's no point in trying to get your ear down to your shoulder if you're going to have to use muscles in your neck to make that happen. You're kind of defeating the purpose. If anything doesn't feel appropriate, make sure you back out. It's okay to come out and come back in if it starts to feel like it's a little too much. Try to broaden the breath right up into the chest so you even feel a little bit of a lift through your collarbones. There's an expansive breath through the upper part of your back, like you're breathing right into your shoulder blades. Option, if you like, you can take that left hand up and over the head. Feel free to cradle your hand onto the side of your right ear. Again, you're not trying to push or force anything down here. Like my hand is so light up here that like it's just resting. Like there's no pressure at all. And it's not like I'm trying to draw my ear down to meet my right or my left bicep. It's not about that. Slow, deep breaths. Last 2 deep breaths in and out through your nose. Release the left hand down if you had it up and over your head. Place the hand onto your thigh. If that right hand was back behind you, you're also going to release that. And eventually both hands land onto the lap for a moment. So shoulders are both now even and soft. Take your left hand and use that underneath your chin. Use the muscles of the arm to lift the head back up to neutral. And then release the left hand back down and pause and breathe. Just let everything settle here. Takes a moment for the tissues and the fascia and even the muscles to kind of integrate their new shape. So if you think of that elastic band sort of visual again, it's like you've stretched it out, but now you just let it soften for a moment into its new shape. It's exactly what happens in the body. And then open the eyes. You're just going to cup your hands and actually rub them vigorously for just a moment, just to create some heat in through your hands. And then cup your hands around the sides of your neck until your fingers wrap behind you and touch. I mean, it depends. If your neck is really quite wide, your fingers might not touch behind you, but that's okay. And just let your elbows kind of relax down. This is just a little bit of softening for the tissues. You can kind of make just these really tiny little circular motions, kind of moving either the hand forward and back or up and down, or again, you can just make little circles. So the tissue and the fascia in the neck is quite short. It's not very long. The fascia and the tissue isn't very long, so it doesn't take much to stretch it out, but it's nice just to let it soften afterwards. All right, and then you can relax. Give your arms a little bit of a shake. If you are sitting in a cross-legged position and you want to just switch out the switch of your legs, just bring the opposite leg in forward. We're going to be sitting again, so just make sure that you feel comfortable here. We're going to work a little bit more through the upper back. Okay, so you're going to take your arms out from your shoulders, and your palms are facing forward. And then you're going to wrap the left elbow underneath the right. Okay, option 1, bring your hands somewhere onto your top shoulders, okay? And think of a little bit of a rounding through your upper back, but that doesn't mean you're rounding forward. You're keeping your chest lifted. It's like you're trying to draw your collarbones a little closer together. So for some people, this already is like, okay, I can feel a stretch between my shoulder blades. You're trying to lengthen out that space between each one of your shoulders. If you want to go a little deeper, then you're going to find a bind where you're trying to draw the wrists or even the palms together. But don't worry if they actually don't touch. But like my palm is resting. I have my right fingers on my left palm, but you can also even just hold on to the wrist as well. And in both variations, I want you to think about drawing your shoulders down away from your ears because they tend to kind of hike up. So don't sacrifice the lengthening in through your shoulders and the neck just to bind. If that's not working, let it go and do this instead. Okay. You want to keep the integrity of the shoulders and the neck in line. Now, you can either in this position or this position, you can keep your head straight, or if you want to work your neck a little more, you can let your chin just slightly draw down towards the chest. Now, for some people, doing this without a support engages the muscles of the neck. So if that's what happens for you, let that piece go and just keep your head neutral. Nice, slow, deep breaths here. Think of trying to breathe into your upper back. It's like you're broadening so that if there was like a pencil between your shoulder blades, there's no way it would be staying there right now. It would just slide right off the back. But we often have the opposite sensation where it feels like something's stuck there all the time. And with allergies that typically attack lungs, right, and throat, and of course nasal passages, it's all connected. So it creates, you know, just from the sneezing and the coughing, that can create a lot of muscular tension in through the body that is not needed. So we're letting that go here. Make sure that your jawline is soft. Wiggle it around if you need to. Just a couple of more deep breaths in and out through the nose. On your next inhale, just slowly start to release out of the bind. Bring both hands with the palms facing down onto your lap. Keep the spine straight. Just let everything soften here. Keep the breath flowing. And then open the eyes if they're closed. Shake out the arms just a little bit. Maybe just roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times, forwards. If you store a lot of your tension in the upper half of your body, this isn't going to take much to move things around. Okay. All right. Let's take the arms back out again. This time we're going for right underneath left, crossing at the elbows and either taking hold of the shoulders or finding a bind. Now keep in mind, like, sides of the body are not symmetrical, so you're not trying to mimic what you did on the other side unless that feels accessible. Okay, so if this is like, this works better for you on this side, or this does, you go with what feels best. Try to draw those shoulder blades again down, and so you're broadening through your upper back. Option to let the head rest down as long as that's comfortable. How you'll know that your neck is not allowing you to release is if your jawline is getting really tight. So if you're clenching, there's no space between the upper and lower molars inside your mouth, you're definitely holding on to muscles that you don't need to be. So this is a practice that I love to do when I have any kind of seasonal allergies coming up for me. Because even though we're working all of this fascia and muscle and tissue, we're also working, meridian lines through the upper half of the body that help clear out things like allergies and the stress. So clearing out the lungs, the heart. Just allowing the body to be a little bit more in balance. And for those of you that spend a lot of your time in front of a computer, this practice is definitely geared and targeted towards you. Keep letting those shoulders soften. Seeing if you can broaden that breath all the way up into your upper back, into the tops of your shoulders. Just a few more rounds of breath. Nothing forced, nothing pushed, really gentle, really soft. Slowly begin to release. Let the hands rest back down onto the laps, palm faces down. Shoulders stay soft. Try to see if you can resist that urge to move for a moment and just let everything settle into something neutral. And then let the eyes open. Again, just give the arms a little bit of a shake. Little jug of the shoulders up and down. Even this movement here can actually release a lot of tension. And then roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times, and then a couple of times forward. Okay, all right. You're gonna grab your strap or what you're using as a strap. We're gonna go in a little bit deeper again. Feel free to switch out the position of your legs. I mean, if you're sitting cross-legged, you might want to switch out again just to keep those hips nice and soft. If you're finding from sitting a lot now that you need a little bit more support, feel free to just like layer on a little bit underneath your seat. And then you're going to find that strap, place it in the right hand, and you're going to take the arm straight up into the air, and you're going to bend the elbow back behind you. Now, you can see from me that my elbow is quite close to my head. That might not be the case for you. If you're very tight, especially in your neck and shoulder, your elbow might be kind of out more to the side. It might even be down, okay? It doesn't matter. You're not trying to mimic me in any way. This is just all about flexibility, okay? You're gonna take your left hand, externally rotate it so your palm is facing out. Then you're gonna bring it onto your low back and you're gonna grab hold of the strap. Now, when you hold the strap, you're aiming to bring your hands a little bit closer together. Now, what often happens for a lot of people when they do this, they get the hands closer, but then the ribs jut forward and you're arcing through your spine and your chest is lifting up. That's not what we're looking for. You want to keep the spine neutral. Think of like you're resting your spine up against a tree trunk or against a wall. So the back is flat, the belly is drawn in, the ribs are drawn in. And if your elbows are kind of out on an angle, don't worry about it. You're just looking to bridge that gap between your hands by using the strap, but it's not about trying to get those hands together. Okay, if they do, great. If they don't, let it go. Don't worry about it. If this is too much with the left hand on the strap, release the left hand and you can take a block and place it to the side and work in a half variation if that feels more accessible for you. Okay. And then really try to keep your shoulders drawn away from your ears because they will try to hike up. Don't let all that goodness that we've done to release the neck come creeping back in. We still have another like half of the practice to go. So you want to keep things nice and spacious here. Try to keep the chin level with your chest. So sometimes the head will try to drop down or the chin will try to lift up as a sort of compensating mechanism. Try to keep the chin level, even if that means you need to distance the space between your hands. You want to try to breathe deep into the upper lobes of your lungs. Now, of course, if any numbing or tingling sensation happens in your fingers or your arms, which is quite common in this shape, it's usually just because there's a nerve that's being compressed somewhere, either in the neck or in the arm. Just release, shake out the arms, and then see if you can come back in again, maybe at a lesser degree so that you're not aggravating any nerves. Sometimes it just means taking the elbows out wider to free up a little bit more space. If your eyes are open, maybe you can close your eyes now and just let yourself linger in that nice long deep breath, just feeling everything starting to lengthen, feeling all that space being created. This is one of my absolute favorite upper body practices. It's so good. It's incredible how much tension we actually hold in our upper body. And it all goes somewhere else. So it often translates down into the low back, hips. I mean, it's all connected here. You're going to take a nice long deep breath in. And take a deep breath out. Now from here, all you're going to do is you're going to take that right elbow out on a diagonal. Go out as wide as it feels comfortable for you. And then see if you can draw the elbow back a little bit, but keep the right shoulder in line with the left. So you're not twisting here. You're just encouraging, say I had my hand on your elbow joint and I'm just drawing it back, but everything stays the same. So nothing else moves here. The neck doesn't move, the chest doesn't move. There's no twisting in the spine at all. You're going to feel this, for most of you, you'll probably feel this more in the tricep muscle. If you're super tight in through your upper scapula, so your upper back, like especially the left or the right shoulder blade, you might feel it in there as well, but for the most part, it's a release through the arm. And take a nice long deep breath in, deep breath out. And then slowly start to release the left hand first. So just drag it down the strap and then release at the bottom, bring the hand onto the lap for support. And then extend nice and slow the right arm straight up to release the elbow joint. And then out to the side. Let the strap go and bring the right hand onto the lap. And just notice here how things feel. Taking a couple of breaths, let everything settle. There might be a little bit of a trickling kind of tingling sensation through the arms. That's okay. It's just blood flowing back in through everything. Of course, if there's anything that's feeling compressed where you're not feeling like a finger or something, let the fingers kind of just wiggle out a little bit. Take another breath in and out. And then shake out the arms. Just let that go, just in case there was any kind of compressed feeling. And then let's take the strap over into the left hand. You're going to take the arms straight up into the air. Find that bend at the elbow. And first, before you even start to move your right arm, just think about where you want to place that arm. So for me, on the left side, because I've broken this left collarbone a few times, my elbow just does not come in. And that's the reality. So my elbow sticks out a little bit. That's totally okay. Then take my right arm, externally rotate so my right shoulder is in proper alignment. Then I'm going to find that strap and hold on to it. And then I'm going to find an appropriate distance between my hands. I want to keep my ribs and my chest and my belly all in one straight line here. So nothing is being pushed forward. Think of that again, that lengthened tree trunk sort of effect through the back body. Chin's in line with the chest. And close your eyes. And again, there's going to be one side that's a lot tighter than the other. So just respect what your body's range of motion is. And because the tissues in the upper body are a lot more fragile and shorter than in, say, the lower half of the body, things don't need to be stretched out as long. So we don't hold the postures as long as we would, say, if we were working, you know, the deeper layers of fascia through the low back or through the hips or even through the legs. And also the meridian lines in the upper body are also a lot shorter than they are in the lower half of the body. So things tend to move more quickly. So that's another reason we don't need to hold quite as long, but you want to encourage that nice, long, deep breath. That's softening through your shoulders. So again, lots of space in through the neck. If it's too much with that right hand, you release it out and place it onto a block and just find, you know, that half position you're working with. It's not about trying to look like something off of, you know, some cover of a yoga magazine. Really is about respecting what your body is able to do in the given moment and honoring what is. You know, expand the breath. Feel like you're drawing it out through the sides of your ribs. This is really going to help also release that tension in the chest and the upper back. And keep that chin nice and level with your chest. It's okay if you want to move that lower jaw around a little bit from side to side. Just make sure you're not holding on any tension here. Just a few more rounds of breath. Last 2 deep breaths in and out through your nose. Try to fill yourself all the way up and try to empty out completely. And from here, you're just going to take that left elbow out and back a little bit. Now you might need to kind of release that right arm down a little bit, just depending on how tight you are. Try to keep those hips and shoulders level. So if you had like headlights on your shoulder blades and on your hips, everything would be facing in a straight line. Okay, so nothing is moving here other than the elbow back. Two more nice long deep breaths. And slowly release the right hand out first onto the lap. Make sure that shoulder is nice and supported. Extend the left arm straight up to release the elbow joint out to the side. Release the strap. Left hand comes onto the lap. You're still sitting up tall. Just take a moment here. Let everything settle. Every time you come out of a yin pose, you've created a new shape in your body. a new level of flexibility, a different level of energy, a different level of balance for you. So you always want your body to have a moment to just adjust and settle to that. And now let the eyes open. You know, take that block, just take it off to the side because we don't need it anymore. And you're going to take one block, place it at the highest level at the top of your mat. You're going to come up off your seat. We're going to set up for supported fish. But before we do, I just want you to take your legs out in front because we've been sitting for a while, so the knees probably need a little bit of a massage. Just give them a little bit of a rub through the inside, outside, front of the knees, just to let, maybe even just like shake the legs out a few times. Okay. All right. So first block that your head's resting on is on the highest level. We're going to start with the highest level and then we might flip it down actually, depending on how you're feeling. Your second block, if you're still feeling quite tight or you just want a lot more support, go the lowest level and you're going to run it horizontal so that it mimics the horizontal length of your mat. Okay. If you want to go deeper, like say you want more of a chest opener, instead of it horizontal, you're going to go vertical. So it travels down the plane of your mat. Okay. Just depends on how much support you need. Once you have your blocks into place, you're going to keep that bum grounded and you're going to lower down onto the blocks. Now make sure that the block that is behind the head is keeping your neck free. And the block between your shoulder blades, you don't want it any lower than the middle part of your ribs. Okay, so the low back is free. The bum is grounded. So if your bum's lifting up, your block is too high, is too low. So you want to just adjust that so that the neck is free, low back is free, and then you're taking your arms out from your shoulders. Turn your palms to face up now. And if your low back needs a lot more support, I want you to keep your knees bent. Just take your feet wide. If you want, you can lengthen the legs straight out to the bottom of your mat. But keep in mind that that will create a little bit more of a pull on the low back. So you want to just make sure that you find something that feels comfortable so that your upper back can start to soften in here. And then close your eyes down. And just like we did with the neck release, I want you to think about just letting everything be heavy on these blocks. There is nothing for you to do here. You don't need to support your body. It is completely supported already. Let your fingers relax. I like to let my fingers kind of curl up a little bit. My palms and are nice and soft. The back of my wrists and forearms are heavy. Of course, my elbows are grounded here, so they're not lifting. My jaw is soft. Just finding a nice flow to my breath here, in and out through my nose. We're going to spend a little bit more time here, but I want you to assess how this shape feels for you. If it feels really spacious and really comfortable and almost like there's not actually very much of a stretch happening, then I want you to come out of it. You're going to lift yourself back up. And that block that was behind your head, you're going to flip it down to the second level instead. And then you're going to come back down. So this way, when you come back down, your chin is actually lifting a little bit more away from the chest. Whereas when the block was at the highest level, your chin was dropping down towards your chest. And then you can, again, just position the legs in a place that feels comfortable. Take those arms back out away from your body, palms face up. Literally just let your chest and back melt here. Try to fill yourself up with a slow yet even breath. It's like you're filling up 3 compartments: your belly first, your ribs second, your chest last. Letting each breath just get a little bit longer, a little bit deeper. If you only had time for one upper body posture, this would be the one that I would recommend. Spending 5 minutes in this shape. You can always adjust the blocks to different levels to create those different layers of release, but always starting at the most supportive and then kind of working your way down to the least supportive. But this particular posture does so much for just creating space in the upper body, freeing up the neck, the head, the shoulders, the chest, the back, the arms even. You can create so much space with just one single posture. And if you can, start to just find a slightly longer breath out now. Just take a little longer to exhale. It's a conscious, deliberate release of your breath. You're going to take 2 more of these really deliberate exhales. And then I'm going to give you the option. You can stay here and take another couple of minutes in this shape. Or if you would prefer to come into Shavasana, absolutely. You can slowly start to make your way out by bringing your feet onto the mat first, keeping the knees bent. And then you have 2 options. You can either just roll very softly over to one side and come off your blocks and take them off to the side, or you can press into your forearms and kind of lift yourself up by using your core. It's just whatever feels more accessible for you. And then Shavasana, you can choose to either rest on your back. You could also rest on your side with a block underneath the side of your head. You're also more than welcome to come up into a meditation position and just sitting up nice and tall, but we've done a lot of sitting, so you may prefer to take this onto the back and find yourself to feel very supported. Even if you're choosing to stay in supported fish, just start to soften the breath now, so that it becomes a breath that you don't even notice that's coming in and going out. So letting yourself begin to go. And those of you that are resting in supported fish, you're going to slowly start to make your way off of your blocks, just taking a moment to rest on the back. And once you come onto your back, please feel free to take a little bit more time here resting in Shavasana, especially if you have the time at this point in your day. Take maybe another 5 or even 10 breaths in Shavasana, or even longer if that is available to you. And then as you go on with the rest of your day, just a gentle reminder that you are only ever one breath away from releasing some tension into your body. It's all about being mindful of the breath in and the breath out. Thank you so much for practicing and joining me today. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.